and by 0.2 of a second from the Gort. CrazyLegs is in 3rd, Maze is in 4th, Steph in 5th, Traw 6th, Weed Nation 7th, Raikkonen is in 8th, Alan K is 9th, Croc is in 10th, Pazels 11th, Beastie's in 12th, Plaster's 13th, Koppel 14th, Little Piece in 15th, and Spike, who did not set a time, will start in P16. So now it's time for the race, which is coming up after this edit. We have 21 corners around Abu Dhabi, and we have about an hour to kill, as we will be on to the warm-up lap very shortly, and I'll try and talk you through every single little thing that we have to keep an eye on. Now, I've got to watch out for the PS4 recording system because it only records for an hour, and this race has a risk of getting very close to that hour. So you will have to bear with me in case there are any edits halfway through. So hopefully that won't happen, but as we now head on to the warm-up lap, we will go through everything that needs to be discussed. Well, okay, there's no warm-up lap then. We're straight into the race then. It's lights out and away we go. Look at that Mercedes there, getting a great start off the line as Crazy's going to go down the inside as there is debris that went flying there. The two Mercedes behind are making contact here. Maze and Steph. Steph runs wide and Maze here has to cover him. Meanwhile, we've got drama further back as who's that? That is the Gort who's lost it. The Gort there, losing time and losing ground, as Traw does exactly the same thing, as we've got contact up ahead as well. My goodness, this is incredible start here, as we have debris flying all over the place. I'm not sure who was who there, but as we'll get some details up. Meanwhile, we've got Raikkonen here on Beastie. Side by side they go down the back straight. Look at that for a photo there, as Raikkonen here trying to go round the outside of Croc now, coming into turn number 8 and then through 9. As you can see there, Raikkonen does have front wing damage on that left hand side, so that is not an ideal situation for him at all, but he's going to keep fighting for position here, as we're going to see Spike here up into P6. So he's had an incredible start, Spike. He started from the back of the grid, is now up into 6th place. That is incredible. Incredible start from him. As we'll now try and see everything that's happening right now. Raikkonen and Beast going around the outside. Beast runs very wide there and has to concede the position, gets a stop go for his efforts. As we see Geordie here in the McLaren trying to close in on Beastie now, as we have Plaster here and Gort here. Gort is well, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but all I saw was Plaster and Traw coming together. Plaster and the Gort, coming together. And we've got many cars into the pits. We've got Raikkonen and we've got Beastie. So Raikkonen with his battle with Darren Sinclair, this is not going well for 4th place in the championship, having to change a front wing. We have Koppel here with Little Pieces. That's why you don't run wide on turn 3. You do slight get bunny hops there, as we've got the Force India there of, I believe that is Traw, trying to claw his way back up the field. He is 8 points behind Spike, as Spike lies in P6. And if that were to happen, then Traw needs to try and get up into 2nd place to try and claim 2nd place in this championship. Little Piece, though, side by side with Koppel going into turn number 8 and locks up majorly there as Traw takes is a little bit of an opportunist there as he tries to stick it round the outside, tries to keep the back end in check, can't quite do it, and that's Alan Kay there having to take evasive action as well, as Traw now trying to go down the inside. The Williams, are they going to try and make it 3 wide going into turn 11, as we've got a great camera angle here. Look at them go. Traw, I think, has done it. I think Traw's done it. Yes, he has. He's ahead of Koppel here. Meanwhile, in 6th place, we've got Spike on the back of Pazels now, who's up into 5th place. So, fantastic start from the two of these guys. We've also, let's have a look at the battle between Alan Kay and Koppel, as Koppel runs wide again and makes contact with Alan Kay, as the two of them fight for position. Alan Kay then up into 12th place. As we'll see here, Spike now coming onto Pazels. He opts for the soft tyre to then maybe go for the one stop later on as Pazels runs wide there. Spike has the inside line. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. They make contact, and Pazels here is in trouble. Pazels recovered, and the McLaren there of Croc takes the outside of the track, makes contact with Weed Nation there, just about keeps it in check. Weed Nation holds on for dear life with that car, and Croc goes up the inside once again, forces his way through, and has Croc got the position done, and he cuts back inside and gets ahead of Weed Nation. This battle's not over yet though. As you can see, Pazels in 8th place, trying to make something of a nuisance of himself as he's on the back of Croc here, trying to go down the inside. Are they going to make it 3 wide? No, they're not, but the 2 Ferraris have got to keep it out of each other's side pods there. So Croc gets ahead, Pazels up into 7th, and then Weed Nation up into 8th place. Meanwhile though, Steph and Mays, the 2 teammates, going side by side, going into turns 11, 12 and 13. Never what you want to do as teammates. The contact's so likely going through there, but Steph gets away and gets ahead of Mays here. Pazels then on the back of Croc, the 2 teammates here, the 2 Ferraris, trying to get away from Haas in the Constructors' Championship. And well, we have here a fantastic battle on our hands. Weed Nation right behind Pazels here, as we've got to overtake further back as Plaster makes his way past Koppel there. As he runs wide there, will that allow Koppel to come back through? As Koppel's right on the on his rear wing there. As oh, that was a bit of a weird moment, wasn't it? Let's hope that's still recording. A little bit of a technical issue there as my camera decides to freak out for a second there. You didn't miss anything though, apart from Spike is past Mays up into 4th place now, as Mays now tries to hunt down Spike to try and get back 4th place. Spike here doing everything he can to try and get away from Traw to make this points gap as big as possible. At the moment, Spike claims 2nd in the championship. CrazyLegs though is going to try and get a move done, sorry, not CrazyLegs, Mays, my apologies, as Pazels there goes down the inside of Weed Nation and makes the move stick, but he hasn't got the traction as Weed Nation is going to close in on him with DRS, as the 2 of them will fight this one out. Meanwhile, Alan Kay is on the back of Traw here, as Alan Kay did have DRS but didn't activate it. That makes me think he had to brake for a reason. Raymond Grosjean's that corner in turn 11. Traw misses turn 12 and cuts turn 13 as a result. Traw's really under pressure here. He's got to try and get past Spike at the very least if he wants to have a chance of claiming 2nd in this championship. Meanwhile then, Weed Nation, we're on board with him as he and Pazels are fighting it out for 7th place. Spike then, as Steph runs wide there, coming out of turn 21, and now Spike here has a chance to go down the inside of Steph. Can he make that move stick? No, he can't, but he's still going to stay there. Traw gets a 3-second time penalty. They're going to go side by side through turn 2, and Spike thinks better of it. As the 2 of them keep it on the track, keep it clean for now. Little piece here is on the back of Geordie now, heading through turn 2 and turn 3 now. Turn 3 is now, as Weed Nation here is on the back, and Traw has retired from the session. Traw has retired from the session, which means whatever happens now, Spike will claim 2nd place in the championship now, as we'll get an onboard shot. Spike here is your runner-up for TTL Season 7, no matter what happens. So now we have to focus on Darren Sinclair and Raikkonen, as Darren Sinclair finds himself only a point behind Raikkonen. Meanwhile though, that's not going to stop Spike from having to go at Steph here, as is he going to try something through into turn 11? I'm not sure. We will have a see as he's around the outside now, going through turn 12, now through turn 13. Steph's going to have that inside line as they make contact there, and just about keeps it in check. Meanwhile, the Gort has retired from the session, and he is out. So both Force Indias not scoring any points. They were leading in terms of best of the rest, and now they're not going to score any points whatsoever. They're on 273. So Renault have a chance here to overtake Force India in the Constructors' Championship, as Spike here is in 3rd place. That's 15 points. They need to score 25. So a race win from Spike here will be able to maybe counteract that. As I'm trying to think if there's any other Renaults in this race. I don't think there is. Oh, it's Beastie. So Beastie's got a job to do now. He's got to try and get into the points if Renault want to have a chance of getting ahead. A race win for Spike will clinch second place for Renault in the Constructors. So now it's all to do for Spike now. As Toro Rosso with the next team down, they're 36 points behind. Darren Sinclair here in the Toro Rosso, as well as Alan Kay. So they've got a job to do if they want to try and get close. Mercedes have a very, very outside chance. They're 41 points behind, and of course the maximum you can get in a race is 43. So they really have to basically get a 1-2 if they want any chance of getting into second place in the championship for the Constructors. So there's a little bit of a break now. We will go through every single bit of drivers here. So we've got Darren Sinclair in the lead. CrazyLegs is in second place. Spike in third. Steph's in fourth. Mays in fifth. We've got Croc in sixth. Pazels is in seventh. Behind him, Weed Nation in eighth. As we're just going to ride on board with Little Piece here. Geordie is up ahead in ninth. Little Piece in 10th. Alan Kay is 11th. Plaster 12th. Raikkonen 13th. Koppel 14th. And Beastie is in 15th. We're going to ride back on board with Little Piece here as Geordie there runs a little too deep, locks up, and Little Piece gets himself a time second penalty. A time second penalty, that's a new one. As we see here, Weed Nation on the back of Pazels. Can he make a position? As Weed Nation here on the back now of Pazels into the slipstream. He has Croc up ahead. Mays is into the pits now on the Ultrasofts. Can only get 6 laps out of them. And that's going to be a telling sign of the soft tyres that Spike is on. As Mays, I believe, is the first one to make a planned stop. So off he goes. He's on the super soft tyres, which means that pretty much means he's going to be on a 2-stop today. As Geordie now and Little Piece fighting tooth and nail as they're going into turn number 5 now. They go runs wide, does Geordie, and not only loses that, but loses the position to Alan Kay, who moves himself up into 9th place now. Well, very, very opportunistic from Alan Kay here. He now has a chance to get ahead of Little Piece. Weed Nation here. Is he going to try and move on Pazels? No, he's not. We'll jump back on board with Alan Kay here as a Little Piece runs onto the blue bit of tarmac, which is not ideal. That's not what you want to do, as they all lock up going into turn number 8. Out of 9 and into 10. Very important to get the traction right, as Geordie here is closing on Alan Kay. Alan goes defensive, and you can see now the run that Geordie has. Is he going to do anything with that move? He doesn't. And as the Haas up ahead locks up, Alan Kay targets him as he wants to try and get past and help Darren try and score as many points as possible. At the moment, they're not scoring as many points as they would like, but they are 36 points behind Force India in the standings. So lots of drama yet to happen. Who said the season was over just yet? No, not any of these drivers. They're having the time of their lives right now, as Alan Kay up into 9th place and trying to get past Little Piece for 8th place. That will score him 4 points in the championship. But Alan Kay decides to get out of traffic and come into the pits early to try and make the undercut work here. He'll pit in. And what tyres will he try and make last? Will he put on some super softs, or will he put on some soft tyres? In he comes. It looks like super softs are going on. And it's... Are they super softs going on, or are they ultra softs? I think they're ultra softs. They are. There are another set of ultra softs for Alan Kay. So he's going really aggressive here. Beastie Kids are going down the inside of Koppel there. That was oh, and he's lost it. Into the wall he goes. Huge hit there for Beastie. As well, that was huge. I think he's still in the race. He is, but that car's taken a huge hit there as he went down the inside of Koppel. I think he just clipped the inside of the wall there, sent him flying out. And Renault's chance of trying to get ahead of Force India in the constructor standings now basically lies with Spike. He's currently in 3rd place. 15 points, though, isn't good enough. He needs 9 more, so he needs to get that race win. He lies about 12 seconds back from Darren Sinclair. Speaking of Darren Sinclair, he'll start the 9th lap of the race and heads into turn 1 now 3.9 ahead of CrazyLegs as Darren Sinclair tries to mount a title challenge for next season. Of course, CrazyLegs claimed his second title in TTL history, as now becomes the second most successful driver of all time in the TTL series. Only one Drivers' Championship behind Tractor Man there. Sorry, one Constructors' title behind Troll. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore. Let's just focus on the race for now. As I've got a load of people into the pits. Raikkonen here finds himself up into 8th place, and Darren Sinclair here wants to try and get any sort of honours, any sort of trophy, and he'll be looking to push for that next season. He's certainly got good pace. Won last time out in Brazil, and is looking to try and keep that momentum up and maybe claim 4th place in this championship. He is 1 point behind Raikkonen. It's the only person that separates him from a 4th place finish this season, and of course hasn't been at every single race, and had that pointless streak from Baku. So very early on he had a very barren run of points. So he was able to score with a race win. I believe it was Mexico. I believe it was. It might have been earlier than that. But Darren Sinclair, then race leader, comes into the pits now, heading towards the pit lane limit line. Got to get that speed limit absolutely right. We're going to ride on board with Steph here, who's right behind Geordie. This is the battle for 6th place, as Steph's been closing in lap after lap as Geordie runs wide. Careful we don't have a Carthacayan-Rosberg incident of 2012, as Steph here. That's a lovely camera angle to see that battle from, as he's right on the tail now, as they're going to go side by side now. Surely not into turn 20. Steph around the outside. Geordie backs out of it. Steph up into 6th place. Great move from Steph there as he pushes on now. Spike then takes the lead of the race as Darren Sinclair and CrazyLegs both go onto a set of soft tyres. They rejoin in front of Little Piece by quite a margin. We have Raikkonen here trying to chase down Geordie, but he is around about a pit stop behind, as Koppel here gets a 10-second time penalty for corner cutting, and I think he's just trying to get out of the way of everybody. But that may mean he's left the door open for Beastie here, as Beastie now goes down the inside, as now Beastie moves himself up into 14th place. Raikkonen then only 4/10 behind Geordie. He will have DRS as well. We've got to see about Steph as well, if he's going to make a move on Little Piece. Meanwhile though, Raikkonen going down the inside of Geordie. He's got to keep fighting. His 4th place in the championship is under threat from Darren Sinclair. He's got to keep pushing on, and he gets 6th place right now, but Geordie's got a better line, as we see the battle ahead with Steph, as Steph tries to go down the inside of Geordie now, heading into turn number 8. Sorry, heading into turn 11. I'm getting these corners all mixed up. Steph moves ahead, as does Raikkonen. Stays ahead of Geordie. Steph up into 4th. Raikkonen up into 6th. Geordie here is not going to take that line down though, but he's got to be careful of the maze behind him. He's only 3 seconds back, so he's got to be careful. Alan Kay though is in the points. As it stands though, they're scoring 19 points out of the 37 they need to overtake Force India. So it is a tough task for them, and a big ask as well. But well, we'll see what happens as the race progresses. Still got 15 runners, both Force Indias out of the race, which means 2nd place in the championship, constructors at least, is up for grabs. So we are going to see what happens here. Spike is leading the way, but he has already stopped, and sorry, he hasn't stopped yet. He is 8.3 ahead as Weed Nation sets the fastest lap of the race. Spike started from the back of the grid, remember. Now he's probably going to try a little something that Darren Sinclair tried earlier on in the season, where he started towards the back of the grid, had a qualifying ban actually, as we've got Beastie is out of the session, and he's pulled over and has decided that enough is enough. Raikkonen then trying to go down the inside of Little Piece, leaves it late. A Ricciardo diving move as he got the moves done though, as they're going to be side by side going into turn 9 and then turn 10 as well. They are still side by side. Who will have DRS though? does either of them have DRS? I don't think they do. Little piece here trying to stay ahead of Raikkonen, but no dice. Raikkonen gets ahead going into turn 11 and gets 5th position. Pushes himself ahead of Little Piece here and tries to chase down Darren Sinclair. 3.7 to the next car for Raikkonen, as he'll just look to try and chase him down. Spike here then, still 7.6 ahead of Darren Sinclair, but the longer he runs on these soft tyres, the less he has to run on some other tyres later on. Alan Kay then chasing down Croc, this for P9. As we see him just run slightly wide onto the curb. Doesn't help the traction as you exit out of that corner there. Heading now into turn 20. Fearing the wall on the right hand side there, coming out of 19. It's a very scary place. Still right on the back of Croc. He tries to look up the inside there of Croc, but no dice at the moment. Still in the slipstream going into turn 1. That's not really an overtaking place, and Alan Kay knows that. But here we've got Croc, who doesn't get the greatest exit in the world as they head through turns 2 and 3 now. There's a lot of dirty air that Alan Kay has to deal with, but they're heading now into turn 5 and 6, then into the hairpin of 7. Important to get this part of the track absolutely spot on. Mays here, I said before that the gap was 3 seconds only a couple of laps ago. Now Mays is on the back of Little Piece as he goes down the inside, and Little Piece locks up going in there, but Mays just about stays ahead. Meanwhile then, Croc and Alan Kay. Alan Kay trying to go round the outside of Croc here. Can he make that move stick? It becomes the inside. They make slight contact. They make contact again. And they're now heading into the DRS zone. Alan Kay will have DRS once again, and opens that DRS, trying now to go side by side with Croc. They make contact again, and Alan Kay now trying to go round the outside. Still the Ferrari is there, and they make contact once again, and Croc just about stays ahead on those soft tyres, and that's inviting Weed Nation into the battle here. Currently the fastest man out on track. He could have them both here as they head through 15, 16 and braking for 17. None of them lock up there, but Croc and Alan Kay maybe run slightly wide there. Croc still holds on to 9th place right now as Alan Kay and Weed Nation trying to chase him down. Alan Kay's got to be really careful here. The moment he attacks Croc is the moment he could lose the position to Weed Nation. But we are still in this now as Weed Nation now trying to go down the inside of Alan Kay. Now can he make the move stick? No, he can't. Alan Kay is pushed out wide and forces to concede the position here to Weed Nation. Further up the field then, we've got CrazyLegs going onto the back of Darren Sinclair as he's now closing and closing. This then for the basically the net lead of the race, as Spike hasn't stopped just yet, as we are seeing here a little bit of controversy in the chat right now, but we'll get to that after the race. CrazyLegs here, 6/10 behind Darren Sinclair, and looking to try and make a way past. Meanwhile though, Geordie is on the back of Little Piece now. These two have been battling for a while now, as Little Piece just hasn't managed to get away. Meanwhile though, we've got the 3 wide battle here as Alan Kay makes his way past both Croc and Weed Nation as we head round now. Weed Nation trying to get ahead of Croc now. Croc has to run wide, and you can see there gets his line compromised. Alan Kay then moves up into 9th place. We've got yellow flags here as well in sector 2 as Pazos is now coming into the fight as well. Koppel is running wide there, as running wide. It's now ghosted around the track. I'm not sure if he's in the session still, but he is a ghost there. Raikkonen then into the pits, and he will be coming into the pits now. This should be a set of soft tyres going on, and it is, as Little Piece and Geordie jump up a position, and off Raikkonen goes. Meanwhile then, CrazyLegs, that doesn't look like 8/10, but trust me, it is, as he closes in on Darren Sinclair, locks up coming into turn number 8, as turn 9 now, as we've got Geordie here as well, now trying to get away past Little Piece. Little Piece locks up worse than Geordie there, which compromises his exit. That doesn't matter too much going into turn 7. It's the exit here you need to get right, as now Geordie has a chance, a real chance of getting past. Paisl's here is right on the back of Croc as well, so we may be able to get this in one camera angle if the camera's nice to us. Geordie here on the back of Little Piece as they both lock up going into here. Croc here and Paisl's both teammates. I wonder if team orders will be enforced today as Paisl's looks to try and find a way past. Geordie here still on the back of Little Piece. He's on harder tyres, and as Croc there locks up going into turn number 11. As Paisl's here still on the back of Croc. I wonder if team orders are going to be in place here, as we've got Weed Nation behind Paisl's as well, so they won't want to lose any time to the Williams, that's for sure. The much faster Williams behind them. Meanwhile then, Darren Sinclair still in second. Spike still hasn't pitted just yet, lap 15. And we are seeing here Spike being caught by Darren Sinclair, although he hasn't stopped as of yet. As we see Pacers here still on the back of Croc, and we've got Weed Nation and Raikkonen now joining this battle. Raikkonen now trying to see Weed Nation, but Weed Nation dives into the pits, so that's a position for Raikkonen as the two Ferraris still battling it out. Pacers here, will he make a move down the outside? Croc moves over and makes sure he doesn't get past, goes defensive for the two teammates. Geordie meanwhile is on the back of Little Piece still, and the McLaren driver, does he have front wing damage on that left hand side, or is that just me? He does have front wing damage, yes he does. So he's managing to keep the car out there, so that's really good pace from Geordie here. We've got yellow flags in sectors 1 and 2 as we've got Raikkonen off the track as Pacers has fallen behind as well, so maybe those two were involved in something, I'm not quite sure. Raikkonen here though he's got the pit light flashing, maybe he's got front wing damage, I'm not entirely sure. Geordie meanwhile into the slipstream of Little Piece he goes, and can he try and make a move stick here? Spike is into the pits, the race leader into the pits as he makes his one stop for the day, and going on to a set of super softs. Will he try and make the move stick there? As we're seeing here Geordie still on the back of Little Piece as these two battle away going into the right-handers here. And Geordie there didn't lock up, so that's good of him. As seeing here, this is the closest battle on the track right now. We've got Pazels on the back of Croc still, as Pazels runs wide on the curb there, gets a big heap of understeer as the car desperately tries to grip on. Geordie's had enough of that battle as he dives into the pits now, and will try now and put on a new set of tyres, as this is his first stop of the race. The last person to make their first stop is Geordie as he makes his way into the pits. Darren Sinclair though leads the way from CrazyLegs and Spike. Spike is around about 17 seconds behind the race leader, and if pace is anything to go by, we might see Pacers here meanwhile, trying to go down the inside of Croc but backs out of it. We've also got Croc here, Alan Kay on the back of Little Piece now. It's taken over the baton from Geordie, and how can he get past Little Piece now? Can he find a way past? This would help Toro Rosso, as he does. Up the inside of Little Piece. Little Piece tries to fight back with what tyre wear he has, but Alan Kay on those much fresher Ultra Softs finds a way past, and can he stay in front? Little Piece will have something to say about that, as he can't quite make the move done. So Alan Kay moves up into 7th place, and now he has 6 points with Darren Sinclair's 18 at the moment. That means they're scoring maths amount of points. I believe that's 24, is that? I think it's 24. But yeah, we'll try and keep you up to date with all the Constructors' Championship. 31 points they're scoring at the moment. So Alan Kay still needs to push on. If he wants to help out his teammate, he needs to get up into 5th place. He's in 6th at the moment, but he dives into the pits after that move, and will come into the pits now to maybe put on a set of soft tyres to put on now to the end of the race. It depends what he wants to do. Into the pits he goes then. And on go a set of super softs. So is that going now to the end of the race? I believe it is. Meanwhile, up at the front then, CrazyLegs is closing in on Darren Sinclair again. As CrazyLegs, the championship winner, is going to have a little bit of fun here with Darren Sinclair. This could be a future rivalry going into season number 8. We'll be excited to see that one if it happens. We've got Geordie here on plaster as we've got fresh super soft tyres against old soft tyres. I really can only see this battle going one way. We head now into turn 7 as Geordie there using all the track he can to make a move, and goes along the left hand side there into the DRS zone. And this should be a pretty simple move from Geordie as he moves up into 11th place, still on the inside. So plaster there running maybe a lower drag setup, but that is Geordie through up into 11th place. Spike has set the fastest lap of the race, and it's going to be helped out his catching by CrazyLegs on the back of Darren Sinclair. These two battling is going to help Spike tenfold, I think. Spike here is only 12.9 behind Crazy. Crazy now 4/10 behind Darren Sinclair. So the gap to the leader for Spike is around 13 seconds, which is doable. He can definitely catch them in that time. With 11 laps to go, with the pace he has, it's doable now. And especially if these two are going to start battling, that's going to be even more time handed to Spike here. As now CrazyLegs is in the slipstream of Darren Sinclair, as now Darren Sinclair has to go defensive now, goes down the inside. CrazyLegs and Darren Sinclair fight for position, and Darren Sinclair maybe slightly lost the back end there. Whatever the reason was, the car just stepped out on him and he lost the position, lost the time to CrazyLegs. And so a new race leader is CrazyLegs here as they head now into 17. And Darren Sinclair, if I know Darren Sinclair, he's not going to be happy with that, and he's going to want that moved back straight away as we now head into turn 19, now through turns 20 and then through the last corner of turn 21. And these guys are not going to give each other any edge here, as Darren Sinclair is going to wait for that DRS zone. As you can see there, Spike, last time we talked about the gap, it was 13 seconds, and that was on the DRS straight, the very long DRS, the first one. We've got yellow flags in sector 1 as Koppel has retired from the race. He's into the wall, and to me, that's a very odd place to go off. That's just around the last corner. But Darren Sinclair then 6/10 behind, and we've got Spike now, who's only around 11 seconds behind. So if he can keep up that pace, he's definitely going to catch these two and be with a chance of fighting for the race lead. Darren Sinclair then only half a second back, needs to get the braking zone of turn 8 absolutely spot on as Crazy locks up going into turn 8. Get the exit of turn 9 spot on as well. That's more important, as now Crazy has some defending to do. Darren Sinclair into the slipstream, open the DRS goes, and will he make a move going down the inside here? The two of them are battling, so they're looking in each other's mirrors as CrazyLegs here locks up again going into turn 11, but the two of them keep it clean for now as Spike continues to close the gap. You can see there on the right hand side the yellow fuel light come up. That means Spike is under fueled, which means he has to do some fuel saving at some point during the race. Sort of takes the fun out to see how much, as I believe that's yes, they're battling. Sorry, I'm talking rubbish here. We're missing a lead battle as CrazyLegs just about stays ahead from the onslaught from Darren Sinclair. These two battling is going to bring everything full circle as we've got Croc and Raikkonen here down the main back straight. Raikkonen down the inside he goes. Can he make the move stick on Croc here? Croc defends aggressively, and we've got that Max Verstappen style feisty defending going on here. Raikkonen once again in the DRS zone. Can he make the move stick this time? Raikkonen around the outside will have the racing line going through there. Croc is still going to try and make it up the inside. They make contact, and Raikkonen in the end gets that position, and Croc has to concede defeat there. Meanwhile, Darren Sinclair now onto that main back straight, opens the DRS. We're on to lap 20 now as we're coming into the closing stages. 9 laps to go, as we will see here what will happen between these two. CrazyLegs locks up there, and Darren Sinclair has to brake much earlier than he planned on, as Spike still closing the gap now. The gap between him and CrazyLegs, the leader, is now 8.6 seconds. He is closing and closing fast. Will he have the tyres to battle towards the end of the race? Darren Sinclair here really going to try and fight for this race win. He needs it for Toro Rosso. His teammate Alan Kay is down in 10th place, scoring a point. It was always going to be tough for Toro Rosso to try and take second place here, even without the Force Indias racing, let alone with them. And Crazy here still on a charge to try and make it another win this season. All the while they're letting Spike catch up to them, and with now when they come across the line, they'll have 8 laps to go, and this is going to be a massive grandstand finish. How many times have I said that this season? It's going to be a grandstand finish towards the end of the race. Darren Sinclair just cannot find a way past CrazyLegs here, with 8 laps to go now as they head through turn 1. As that's not a great camera angle to look at. Now you can see Spike there, 7.5 behind Darren Sinclair, and we will have a see here what will happen. Alan Kay on the back of Geordie here, as we'll see a battle between Geordie and Alan Kay. This is a battle for 9th place. Alan Kay going to try and go up the inside as he thinks better of it, as we'll now ride on board with Darren Sinclair behind CrazyLegs here. As now into the slipstream, open the DRS goes, and you can see Spike in the distance there, lurking and looming as CrazyLegs goes defensive, defends the inside line. Darren Sinclair going to try and go around the outside, and CrazyLegs locks up, and Darren Sinclair may still have the inside line. No, he doesn't. He backs out of the move and will wait for the second DRS zone. All the while, Spike's getting closer and closer. Darren Sinclair here, still in that slipstream, but he's got to try and make a move done now. If he doesn't get it done now, Spike's going to close in on the both of them. As Pazos comes into the pits, we've got Geordie there making his way past Croc here, but only just. Croc still on the inside there. They make contact, the two of them, and we've got an incident there as Alan Kay runs into the back of the both of them battling, and Croc's aggression has caused an incident, and Geordie there's run into the side of Croc's side pod there and has spun him round going through turn 2. I don't think he's got too much damage there, as we'll see now CrazyLegs trying to defend from Darren Sinclair. Didn't quite see what happened in full there, but Croc's very aggressive in his defence there, and Alan Kay just wasn't expecting to have to brake going through turn 2, and I think he's lost a bit of front wing there doing that. We'll have a look from the opposite camera angle. On the left hand side, yes, he has lost some front wing. So is he going to just try and get to the end of the race now, as Geordie is out of the race, as he retires from the race entirely, and he will be done for today. 12 in the running now as Steph comes into the pits. He's going to go for an ultra soft run. Maybe he's going to try a Fernando Alonso run here. Spike gets himself a 3-second time penalty. That's the last thing he wanted if he wanted to try and get a move done on the two of these. Crazy still leading the way. Then Darren Sinclair moves to the inside, tries and lets Crazy lock up there. He does lock up, but I'm not sure if that's anything to do with as Alan Kay there goes around the outside of Croc. Off the track he goes, and the two of them still battling now. Croc is still in 8th place, Alan Kay 9th, and Weed Nation behind them in 10th there. Croc is very aggressive out there in his defence of 8th place. He wants to put some points, and he's gonna basically defend for his life to have them. As Alan Kay now, Croc doesn't get a great line going out of there. As you can see now, Alan Kay round the outside. Is Croc going to stick it up the inside? No, he doesn't. But Alan Kay's lack of downforce means that he can't quite keep it going through turn 2 and 3. He'll run wide, and Croc makes contact there with Weed Nation as he loses a bit of front wing. Now Alan Kay has got to try and move down the inside, and he does. Look at this now. Round the outside does Alan Kay go? No, he doesn't. Now we've got to jump back onto the race leader, CrazyLegs, ahead of Darren Sinclair now. Just to check on those two. Alan Kay then on the back of Croc. These two have, I think their rival is going to reach boiling point in a minute as Alan Kay goes down the inside. Croc leaves that space width, that car width that you need. You must leave the space. Alan Kay goes down the inside, but he hasn't got the front wing to slow him down, and Croc stays ahead of Alan Kay. This is intense battling, and whilst they're going on, Pazos and Plath are allowing to catch up, and Alan Kay here He needs that, he wants that 9th place, you can tell from Croc, as we see CrazyLegs here in the lead of the race still. 5.3 separates him and Spike. Well, Alan Kay here, still on the back of Croc. He's not going to let him go that easily, as we've got two amazing battles happening here. Croc still ahead of Alan Kay, and Alan Kay, is he going to try and move down the inside? No, he's not. Tries a bit of racecraft and see if Croc runs wide, but he doesn't, and the two of them still in a dead heat now, as Croc here trying to use turn 19 here as wide as he can to get a good exit, and Alan Kay, as Croc, does he come into the pits? No, he doesn't, and Alan Kay runs into the back of him again and loses another bit of front wing, and that front wing is going to be crying out for a repair. Meanwhile, Pazos is going to try and make an opportunistic move, as he's now trying to see the both of them. Is he going to try 3 wide going through turn 2? Surely not. And no, he doesn't. That's a wise idea. Meanwhile, though, Croc and Alan Kay still trying to battle. Look at this, the 4 of them are having a go at each other now, as they're now heading into turn 5, as Croc just about keeps it on the track. Plaster now is up into 10th place. Pazos in 11th, and Alan Kay finds himself the biggest loser in that. We now have a 3-way battle for the last, for 9th place, sorry, as now Pazos is on the outside now. Is Croc going to try and use a bit of racecraft and a bit of teamwork here to try and get through? Is he going to let Pazos through? Pazos has put up a fight now with every single driver he's come up against, and Pazos here trying to get P9, and Croc, no, he's not going to let him have it. He's not going to let him have it at all. And with 5 laps to go now, into the DRS zone goes Pazos. Can he get the move done on his teammate? As Plaster there's looking eagerly now, as the two of them side by side going into turn 11 here. Can Pazos finally get the move done? Yes, he can. But Croc's not going to have enough now. He's still down the inside. I spoke too soon. These two Ferrari guys are going to battle to the hill and back. As now Pazos has the inside line going through into 15 and 16, into 17. Can he keep the car on the road? Yes, he can. And at last, the Ferrari driver of Pazos finds himself in front of his teammate. And that's the first time that's happened this race, I think, as the two of them battled each other to the end. Meanwhile, then, we've got the lead at the front. The lead at the front, that's what happens when so much action happens that I can't quite get my words out right. As we've got Croc in the pits now, as Alan Kay comes in as well. So their rivalry is going to go right to the checkered flag. Spike here still has the yellow fuel light, so he has to do some fuel saving at some point during the race. As we're now down to 4/10 the gap, as Alan Kay there comes into the pits. So this all lies now for Spike, 3.5 seconds behind Darren Sinclair. Is still catching with 4 laps to go. And the CrazyLegs here has managed to stay ahead of Darren Sinclair for a long time now, and it's frustrating when you're just behind a car. You know you can battle, and we'll have a see now in just a second what will happen now. Crazy gets a good exit coming out there. We've got yellow flags in sector 1, and is that Croc? It might have been, I'm not too sure, as the two of these two now, we've got to keep an eye on them now, as their rivalry looks to boil over at some point. CrazyLegs then into turn number 11. Sorry, turn 8. I always get those two mixed up. Into turn 8 and 9. Through 10 they go now. Darren Sinclair opens up the DRS, and Spike is closing, but not as quickly as he has been before. Crazy going into turn 11 now, maybe slightly too deep. That's going to compromise his run through turns 12 and 13. Sinclair right on the back going through turn 14 now. And now coming through turns 15 and 16. Get the braking point absolutely right, guys. We don't want a collision here. And Sinclair brakes earlier just to make sure he doesn't run into the back of Crazy. Crazy brakes later. And Darren Sinclair here is still right on the back of CrazyLegs here. This could be a Season 8 preview for you right here. The battle between Sinclair and Crazy. As Sinclair tries to get a better line coming out of turn 21. Crazy doesn't get quite the best exit out of there. As you can see, Spike now throwing it into turn 21. As now he's catching up with 3 laps to go. He's not that far behind at all now. He needs to get the race win if Renault want second place in that Constructors' Championship. And, well, here we go. As we have Darren Sinclair here still on the back of Crazy. Not going to let him go without a fight here. And with only 3 laps to go, this is going to be a fantastic battle with what will be the three of them. The three of them battling for that top step of the podium. And Darren Sinclair in the DRS zone, in the slipstream. Once again, he'll have another go. And this time Crazy goes to the inside. Now Darren Sinclair launches it down the inside as well. True Ricardo move, but can he hold on to that position? Now he runs side by side. Now I'm not sure who gets DRS. Sinclair will get DRS, and now they're running side by side still as they head towards turn number 11. Who's going to get out on top? Darren Sinclair still around the outside. CrazyLegs locks up. They make contact as CrazyLegs leaves the late braking till late and stays ahead for now as Sinclair looks up the inside, but that's going to cost him more time than he wanted. And Spike now is directly behind them. Spike has been closing in all this time now, and with about 2 and a bit laps to go, this is going to be one intense battle for the race win. And we'll see now what happens as CrazyLegs leads the way from Darren Sinclair and Spike. The next car behind these guys is 40 seconds behind. That's Steph in the Mercedes. So these guys have supreme pace right now, and so CrazyLegs will come across the line to start the penultimate lap of the race, of the season as well, as this Constructors' Championship lies solely on Spike, for second place at least, solely on Spike winning the race. And can he do it? That's the thing. But he'll certainly want the race win, as Darren Sinclair and Spike here really close now. Really on the attack is Spike. He's got the perfect opportunity now to try and get past these two, to try and clinch second place in the Constructors for Renault. Meanwhile though, Crazy has some defending to do from Darren Sinclair, and Darren Sinclair has also got some defending to do from Spike, as we've got yellow flags in sectors 1 and 2. Won't affect this battle, and CrazyLegs goes defensive once again as the two of them try to find a way past. Spike has got to be careful. He's got to pick his moment now, and doesn't pick his moment for then. As Crazy now onto the second DRS straight, as Darren Sinclair, Croc is out of the race. Croc is out of the race now, as we're still going to ride on board with these guys here. This is the battle for who steps on what side of the podium now. And Darren Sinclair here, still in second place. Spike is in third. Look at this, the three of them, half a second separates them at the moment. And they're heading up into turn 17 now. Darren Sinclair right on the tail of Crazy now, as he gets that 3-second time penalty. That's all going to add up when they cross that finish line. They may finish in this order, but penalties will have another say in that, in saying who actually wins. As now Darren Sinclair, as chasing Crazy down. He's still looking in his mirrors to try and check on Spike, as now we start the final lap of season 7 here in Abu Dhabi. And it's now or never for Spike now, if he wants to try and get this move done, if he wants to try and take the lead and take second place in the Constructors' Championship. It is now or never, as CrazyLegs here could go on to another race win. Darren Sinclair has done his best for Toro Rosso, but there's nothing doing now, as his teammate Alan Kay down in 11th place had an eventful race. There's not really a chance that Toro Rosso can get this championship under their belt. Meanwhile though, we've still got the podium to decide, and it's going to be decided in a massive fashion here. Who will come out on top between these three? Crazy goes defensive once again, locks up, and Spike here is trying to go around the outside. And they're still squabbling for the race lead, for the race victory. And here we have CrazyLegs still on the defensive from Darren Sinclair. Spike is also trying to see the opportune moment to try and get past. Darren Sinclair will look to the outside, gets tagged by Spike behind. Again, Crazy doesn't get the greatest run, going through 12 and 13. Darren Sinclair taps the back of Crazy, but Crazy's locked up. Crazy's not got a good exit out of turn 14, and through 15 and 16, Sinclair's going to go round the outside. Can he make the move stick? He locks up. They make contact, and Spike's got the opportunity, but he gets into Darren Sinclair. This is incredible. The three of them just can't keep it away from each other. CrazyLegs then keeps ahead for now. No real overtaking opportunities anymore, unless you're going to dive bomb into the last corner. Darren Sinclair then, well, I think Crazy's going to win this. Crazy crosses the line first, Darren Sinclair second, and Spike in third. That's exactly how they finish. What an intense battle between the three of them. Fantastic racing. CrazyLegs wins the last race of the season. Sinclair in second, and Spike is in third. Incredible stuff. Whew. a bit exhausted after all that. Meanwhile then, Pazels is going to try and close on Little Piece. So we'll see if he can, as Little Piece locks up going into turn number 8 there, sorry. Meanwhile though, Steph is going to come home in 4th place there for Mercedes. Good result for him. Mays here is also going to come across the line for Mercedes in 5th place. He crosses the line there. Good result for Mercedes today. Meanwhile though, Pazels is going to try and move now. Raikkonen can't possibly get 4th place in his championship. He had 4th place in the championship for his longest time, but a huge race today, and nothing went his way. He'll come home in a respectable 6th place today. Pazels now on the inside of Little Piece as Little Piece loses the back end, and Little Piece is out of the race. Unbelievable. And Plaster here will have a chance now if he can just overtake. Little Piece will score a point in the championship then. Weed Nation comes home in 7th place. Pazels comes home then in 8th. And Plaster will be the last person to cross the line here in 9th place. But season number 7 has finished, and it's finished in some dramatic style. CrazyLegs championship winner and race winner at Abu Dhabi. Well, it's confirmed now. Spike will take 2nd place in the championship, and Darren Sinclair will take 4th place in that championship. Force India then are runners-up in the Constructors this season. Well, Season 7 of TTL has come to an end. And what a dramatic race it was to end on.